This is the Equatorial Broadcast. I'm Michael Arden. It's Thursday, March 5, 2026. The U.S.-Israeli campaign against Iran enters a sixth day, with heavier strikes reported in Tehran, continued Iranian missile and drone fire across the region, and a widening maritime and energy shock tied to the shutdown around the Strait of Hormuz. We begin with the latest on the war and the expanding regional footprint. For that, we turn to Sofia Delacruz.
In the early hours Thursday, residents in Tehran described a more intensive wave of bombing, as Israel said it was striking Iranian government targets and infrastructure tied to the state's security apparatus. Reuters reports the air campaign is continuing alongside political uncertainty in Iran after the killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in the opening hours of the operation. Reuters also reports Iranian officials abruptly postponed the start of official mourning ceremonies for Khamenei amid fears of further strikes and concerns about large public gatherings, while U.S. and Israeli aircraft remain active. On the Israeli side, air raid sirens again sent civilians into shelters as Iran launched another wave of missiles toward Israel. An Israeli military spokesman said the number of daily missile launches from Iran appears to have decreased, while warning the threat still exists. Beyond Israel and Iran, the conflict is now hitting additional territory through missiles, drones, and spillover incidents. In Azerbaijan's Nakhchivan exclave, Reuters reports 2 drones crossed the border and injured 4 people, with one striking the terminal area of Nakhchivan International Airport and another landing near a school. Azerbaijan has demanded an explanation and signaled retaliation, while Iran has denied involvement. In Iraq and the Gulf, regional outlets and international reporting have continued to document drone activity and explosions, including reports of drones striking near a U.S. base in Iraq and blasts heard in Doha, as states across the region report intercepts and air defense responses. On Wednesday, Turkey reported that a NATO air defense system intercepted an Iranian ballistic missile entering Turkish airspace, a development Reuters described as a significant escalation beyond the core battlefield. For the Equatorial Broadcast, I'm Sofia Delacruz.
Sofia, thank you. A major turning point in this conflict has been the expansion of naval and shipping risk well beyond the central battlefield, including a U.S. submarine attack on an Iranian warship off Sri Lanka. For the confirmed details, we go now to Jade Hollister.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth described the sinking publicly as a torpedo strike, calling it the first U.S. torpedo sinking of an enemy ship since World War II, according to a Reuters transcript. Iran's foreign minister condemned the strike and warned the United States would bitterly regret the precedent, according to Reuters reporting on Thursday's developments as the war entered day 6. At the same time, shipping disruption in and around the Strait of Hormuz is now central to the conflict's global impact. Reuters reports roughly 300 tankers are stranded in the strait, and that renewed attacks on vessels in the Gulf have pushed oil higher, with traders pricing an elevated risk of prolonged disruption. In Thursday trading, Reuters reports Brent crude rose more than 2% and U.S. crude rose more than 3%, with analysts warning that an extended shutdown could halt major exports and cut global supply by millions of barrels per day. For the Equatorial Broadcast, I'm Jade Hollister.
Jade, thank you. Now to Washington, where the administration has emphasized that the campaign aims to dismantle Iran's missile capability and degrade its ability to project power, while lawmakers debate the scope of presidential war powers. Daniel Price is following that. In Washington, the administration is presenting the operation as a limited but intensive campaign focused on Iranian military capability. Reuters reports Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the operations would not become an endless war and that the aim is to destroy Iran's missiles, its navy, and other security infrastructure. In a separate Reuters report, Hegseth said the United States is winning and can sustain the fight as long as needed, as U.S. strikes expand deeper inland and the Pentagon points to reduced Iranian missile firing compared with the earliest days of the war. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has offered a detailed rationale for the timing of U.S. entry. Reuters reported that Rubio told reporters the U.S. anticipated an Israeli action against Iran and expected Iran to retaliate against American forces, arguing that U.S. strikes were intended to reduce expected casualties by hitting capabilities before they were used. On the domestic political front, Reuters reports that Republican senators blocked a measure aimed at halting the U.S. air campaign and requiring explicit authorization from Congress, leaving the president's power to direct operations largely intact for now. The White House has also focused attention on energy and shipping risk. Reuters reports President Trump has said the U.S. will move to protect energy shipments, and the administration has promoted additional oil supply options, including steps tied to Venezuela. For the Equatorial Broadcast, I'm Daniel Price. One of the most volatile questions surrounding this conflict is whether it widens through religious mobilization language and calls for broader retaliation. For what is known and what is not yet independently verified, we turn to Thomas Avery.
In Iran, state-linked outlets and several international reports say senior Shiite clerics have issued religious rulings framed as calls for jihad or for vengeance in response to the killing of Iran's supreme leader. Iran's Mehr news agency reported Grand Ayatollah Nasser Makarem Shirazi issued a call framed as jihad against the United States and Israel. Additional reports, including summaries of regional reactions compiled by open sources, name Makarem Shirazi and Grand Ayatollah Hossein Nouri Hamadani as issuing rulings that urge Muslims to avenge the killing. Those summaries are widely circulated, but the precise wording and formal legal status of the rulings is not independently verified across all outlets. What can be said with confidence is that Iranian officials and aligned media are using the language of religious duty and retaliation alongside military statements, while U.S. officials continue to frame the campaign in terms of dismantling Iranian military capabilities. The distinction matters because religious mobilization language can be used as propaganda, as a signal of intent, or as a recruitment mechanism, and it does not automatically translate into organized action across borders. For the Equatorial Broadcast, I'm Thomas Avery.
Thomas, thank you. We return now to the central question of how many countries have been directly affected by strikes or attempted strikes. Based on confirmed reporting available today, the conflict's direct footprint includes Iran and Israel and extends through incidents and attacks involving Iraq and multiple Gulf states, as well as the maritime domain around the Strait of Hormuz. Reuters also reports spillover incidents including a drone strike in Azerbaijan's Nakhchivan exclave and missile activity involving Turkish airspace. Separately, the war has extended to the Indian Ocean through the U.S. sinking of an Iranian warship off Sri Lanka. On the question of Iranian naval losses overall, public claims vary. President Trump has said 9 Iranian naval ships were sunk early in the campaign, and U.S. Central Command has described significant Iranian maritime losses in the Gulf of Oman. Those broader totals remain difficult to independently confirm in full from open reporting, but the confirmed record now includes multiple U.S. naval actions and an accelerating campaign aimed at limiting Iran's ability to threaten shipping. Oil and gas markets are treating the Strait of Hormuz disruption as the central economic risk. Reuters reports oil rose again Thursday on supply concerns, with analysts warning that a prolonged closure would have global consequences. As the war enters its 6th day, the next markers will include whether Iran sustains missile and drone fire at scale, whether shipping can resume through Hormuz, and whether additional states become directly engaged through attacks on territory, bases, or maritime assets. You've been listening to the Equatorial Broadcast. I'm Michael Arden. The Equatorial Broadcast is produced with support from Khasi Amazon Jungle Lodge, with guided rainforest expeditions operated by Khasi Amazon Jungle Tours in Peru. Thank you for listening.